The desert is a place of silence, of heat, of endless horizons that burn beneath the sun. Yet once, in the 1870s, these arid lands east of Sierra Nevada were alive with sound. Iron groans, the hiss of steam, the creak of wooden decks. They called them desert steamers. Great ships that did not cross oceans, but lay scattered like mirrors in the wilderness. Owens Lake, Lake Tahoe, Meadow Lake, Donner Lake, places where men gambled everything for silver, gold, and lumber. But with every enterprise come stories of fortune, of loss, of mysteries that refuse to fade. And among them all, one tale lingers like a ghost, the legend of $200,000 in gold bullion lost forever in the waters of Owens Lake. Imagine it. Wagon loads of treasure chained to the deck of a steamer, winds howling, waves crashing, men shouting as ropes snap and chains strain. In a single moment, wealth beyond imagination slips away, swallowed by the depths. The story was told and retold. Some swore the steamer was the Bessie Brady. Others named the Mollie Stevens. The details shifted like desert sands, but two things always remained: Owens Lake and a fortune in gold. To understand the mystery, we must first step back in time. Owens Lake, now nothing more than a dusty basin in Inyo County, California, was once vast, shimmering, alive. Fed by the Owens River and the snowmelt from the Sierra Nevada, the lake stretched for miles, reflecting peaks and clouds in its waters. It was here that steamers crossed, carrying silver or from booming mines, hauling lumber, transporting goods, and yes, sometimes gold. The lakes were highways of industry in a wild frontier where wagons struggled and railroads had not yet reached. On Owens Lake, two steamers stood out, the Bessie Brady and the Mollie Stevens. Both served miners and merchants. Both carved trails across the restless water. And both became tangled in the tale of the lost bullion. The captain's story, passed down through whispers, painted a vivid scene. On board, 2 wagon loads of gold bullion, heavy, gleaming, chained to the deck. But one wagon, perhaps carelessly secured, perhaps hurriedly placed, was not bound as it should have been. A storm rose. The winds roared. Waves lifted the boat, slammed it down again. And then it happened. The wagon shifted, lurched, and with a terrible crash, slid overboard. Men screamed, chains rattled, the captain shouted orders. The gold was gone, sinking like stone into the lake's dark belly. According to the story, the wagon itself was later hauled back from the waters, and a small portion of the treasure recovered. But much of it, so much of it, remained below, waiting, untouched. By the early 1900s, Owens Lake's tale of treasure had grown into legend. It was no longer a single story. It was many. Some said it was a Mollie Stevens that carried the ill-fated wagons. Others swore it was a Bessie Brady. Some whispered of storms so fierce they nearly capsized the ship, of crewmen risking their lives to lash ropes in the chaos, of gold flashing in the air before it vanished beneath the waves. No version was ever exactly the same. Yet each carried the same kernel of truth: a wagon of gold, lost to the waters of Owens Lake. Treasure hunters began to circle. The lake was vast, murky, unpredictable. Men dragged nets across the water, dove in crude diving suits, scanned the muddy floor with poles and hooks. Nothing. The silence of the lake mocked them. It held its secrets close. Still, fragments of the past surfaced. A 300-pound propeller, a 400-pound hand-wrought iron anchor, proof that ships had plied these waters, proof of industry, proof of the steamers themselves. If anchors and propellers lay hidden in the depths, why not gold? The whispers never faded. They only grew. The desert does not forgive. It swallows. It buries. It erases. And Owens Lake was no exception. In the 20th century, a new hunger arose, not for treasure, but for water. The city of Los Angeles built its aqueduct, drawing the Owens River southward, diverting streams, draining life. The once shimmering lake shrank, then dried. What had been a highway of steamers became a barren expanse of dust and salt. The legend of the lost gold became more tantalizing. If the lake was gone, perhaps the treasure could be found. But the lake left behind not clarity, but confusion. The mud hardened, cracked, split into lifeless earth. The winds picked up the dust. turning the valley into storms of grit. Visibility was low, digging treacherous, conditions deadly. Death Valley earned its name not by chance. Here, men perish in the heat, vanish into salt flats, lost themselves chasing promises of fortune. The gold was not only buried, it was defended by the land itself. Yet still, seekers came. From the early 1900s to modern times, treasure hunters have walked the ghosts of Owens Lake, some with shovels, some with metal detectors, some with dreams as heavy as the gold they pursued. They searched where the shoreline once was, tracing maps, comparing old journals, piecing together scraps of lore. They imagined the steamer swaying, the wagon sliding, the splash, the sinking. Could the gold lie beneath their boots? Could a fortune be waiting just a few feet below the crust? None have found it, but discoveries fuel their hope. Rusted ship parts, iron nails, fragments of machinery. Every relic proves the steamers were real. And if the steamers were real, then so too must be the lost bullion. The excitement rises, then falls. Hope surges, then fades. Yet the story always returns. Because treasure, once whispered into the world, never truly dies. Today, Owens Lake is dry, cracked, silent. Where once steamers cut their paths, dust now drifts across the basin. The aqueduct has stolen its water, leaving only memories, myths, and the ghosts of treasure. But the legend survives. It thrives in the telling. It passes from voice to voice, campfire to campfire, from dusty history books to eager treasure hunters with gleaming eyes. Is there still gold beneath that parched ground? Did $200,000 in bullion truly sink into the depths, never be retrieved? Or was it all a tale, told and retold until fact blurred into myth? We may never know. Yet here lies the power of legend. It does not require certainty. It needs only the possibility, the thrill, the hope. Somewhere in Death Valley, in the ruins of Owens Lake, fortune may still rest, buried, waiting. And until the day someone proves otherwise, the treasure of Death Valley remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the American West. A reminder that the desert hides not only death, but dreams.